Are ghosts real? Several recent encounters suggest there might be more things in heaven and earth than we can dream of.
So are werewolves just a Hollywood creation, or do half-man, half-wolf creatures really exist? Now, tonight, we kick off our Conspiracy Theory Month series, which was a...
The legend of the vampire actually goes back for centuries, and it exists in some form or another in almost every culture. In fact, some people believe the first vampire story was in the Bible.
Well, for decades, only crackpots and crazy people believed in UFOs. That's what I thought anyway. And then in recent years, it turns out that governments have been taking them seriously all along.
Try and clear up an ancient mystery with the help of a prominent veterinarian who says she can prove that Bigfoot exists and that he's related to all of us.
New reports, 5 pilots coming forward over the weekend saying they've had multiple mid-air encounters with high-flying, fast-moving objects.
Good evening, folks, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Celestial Oddities PairOfNormal Guys podcast radio show. I am one of your two hosts, Garrett Jagaman.
And my name is Daniel James.
Now tonight, as always, we have a nice fun-filled, entertaining, and in-depth discussion on specific topics that we pick each and every episode. Tonight's episode is going to be on meditation and karma kind of together as two different sides of things that kind of come together, in correlation with one another. But before we talk about that, did want to say if you're listening out there, whether live or streaming this after the fact, click the like, share, and follow buttons. The more that you do that on whatever platform you're listening to us from, the more that it moves us up the podcast community rankings, the more people that discover the show, and the bigger the show gets. So we'd really appreciate it. With that being said, you can listen to us from Spotify to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and everything in between. So don't be shy. Listen to us wherever you feel most comfortable. But keep in mind, if you do want to interact with us live during the show, you can go through Spreaker.com or through the Spreaker app. Now that is Spreaker, and that'll allow you to leave feedback during the show, leave comments, ask questions of me and Dan, and so forth. So please interact with the show. We always encourage it, and we love to hear from you guys. And also, with that being said, make sure that you know that you can email us at any time at celestialoddities@gmail.com for any questions, any requests on show topics. If you want to get on the show, if you have something entertaining to say, me and Dan answer that daily. We are, always loving to stay in tune with our fans, so don't be shy on that end. Now, we're going to jump right into it. The topic of the night is karma and meditation, and I'm going to start this one out, in an unlikely place. Excuse me, I couldn't talk there. I'm going to go to the law and the word of a very misunderstood and a lot of times hated individual, a very powerful magician, a very powerful mind, spirit, and researcher of Aleister Crowley. A lot of people off the bat would hear that and say, Aleister Crowley, how's that have anything to do with meditation? How's that have anything to do with karma? Because a lot of times people associated him with being one of the most wicked men on the planet. He was, a devil worshiper and all these other things that they said that actually weren't true. I relate that to modern day, or at least 15 years ago. Let's say when Marilyn Manson came out, everyone would spread rumors. Oh, he passed out a box of puppies and wouldn't play until they came back on the stage dead. I heard that so many times by so many people that people believe that was true. That never actually happened. People say things to give background to this person. Oh, he's such a bad guy. Well, that's what happened with Aleister Crowley, and he was, a genius. He wrote many books. He was very beyond his time, both then and even if he lived these days, he would still be beyond his time now. But the reason that I say I would like to go to his words and to his law is he created a law called Thelma. Thelma is do what thou wilt, is the whole of the law.
Yep.
Love is law after will. And what I mean by that is, and a lot of times people take that as an evil incantation of some sort, like, oh, do as thou wilt, you're evil, you're out doing bad things.
It sounds selfish. It sounds self-serving, but we're going to talk about
it. Does. It really sounds like it's just do whatever you want out there, and it can be taken that way. And a lot of Satanists, I think, have adopted that word and tried to turn it into something that it wasn't. That's never what he meant. Nothing that I found says that he worships the devil whatsoever. Like I said, it was just one of those smoke screens that people put out there. But the reason I bring that up is love is the law love after will, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. And what I take that as is this life is, as Dan and I have talked about before, not what it seems. People think that you pass from this life into another land, into heaven, into purgatory, into hell, into the cosmos, whatever it might be, whatever your belief system is. But in actuality, everything around us, everyone around us are all the same. You and I are made of the exact same elements. The sand, the rock, the walls is you. You are it. We are all one. And this afterlife isn't going on after you die, it just magically starts. It's going on right now. It's going on around us, and it is all around us, as I said. So what I'm getting at with that is that do what thou wilt as far as when it comes to karma, saying that you get in what you put, you get out of it what you put into it. And love is the law as well, only after will. And it's saying that you should do what thou wilt. You should do what you want in life. You should live the life how you want it. Because just like Groundhog Day, you might do it over and over and over again, either until you get it right and you can pass on to the next stage, or you decide you don't want to do it anymore. Because I think some people do certainly reincarnate themselves because they want to come back. Others are forced to come back until they get it right. But do as thou wilt means don't live by anybody else. Do what you want to do. But second to that, love is the law. So you should go about love and go about life with love in it. Because if you treat people how you want to be treated, if you put in love, you will get out of it love. And if you do it right, there might not be a need to have to come back again. The karma is there.
Right.
And when you live a bad life, when you live hate, when you put hate into the cosmos, when you put energy out there of negative vibrations, you're going to receive that type back either in this life or the next. And that'll determine what you come back as, what your life is like when you come back. So when I get into that, that's a big part of it, is that, Aleister Crowley was very into those thought patterns. He was very into the Kabbalah. He was into the Tree of Life and things of that nature, which leads me to kind of a different thing. If you start to really dig deep, and I'm talking deep, deep, folks, way deeper than most people will go, you start to look into the Tree of Life and realize that it isn't even how it was originally told to you, and it actually comes down to vortexual mathematics and geometry. And it's made up of numbers. Everything is made up of numbers. And it's very interesting that I want to mention the role of 9. Now, a lot of people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Everything in this world is made up of the number 9. And it's hard to fathom this, but 0, look at 0 as the starting point, the origin, the source, God, whatever you want to consider it, that is the starting point. 1 is the creation of something, the creation of man, the creation of thought, the creation of a flesh frequency vibration that we are in right now as our bodies. Not the mental self, but the physical self. 1 plus 1 makes 2, 2 and 2 makes 4, 4 and 4, 8, 8 and 8, 16, and then you add any numbers bigger than 10, because your numbers, and I know a lot of people are saying, what the fuck's he talking about? Just hear me out. 1 through 10 or 1 through 9 are the only numbers. Every other number is made up of those 9 numbers. And 9 and 0 are the same. They are the abyss. They are the spiritual void out there. And everything that you add comes back to 9. And 9, if you look in a lot of programming and things, 9 or 0 is reflected. And Daniel, and we'll get into this in a moment, he had released a episode of his podcast, or not podcast, but videocast series that he does on YouTube today about the Matrix. And it's very similar to what I'm saying here, is that even coding, it's zeros and ones. It's the taking of nothing and turning it into something. It's the programs you see, everything you see around you is in essence a program of some sort. That 0 would be the spiritual self, the higher awareness. 1 is when you start to take physical form. Now, I take this to a kind of a side note right here, because a lot of people argue about religion. A lot of people argue about God and whose God's real and this and that. But I've come to realize that there is no individual gods. There is no specific God, I guess you could say, at least in my thinking, that there is the void, there is the abyss, and there is the source. We all come from the source. We all float freely into it. Now, one of the things I've discovered, which and it goes a lot deeper than I can say tonight, folks, on this show, but it's mind-blowing when you think of it, that they want you to believe that you have to live a good life. You have to live the way that this certain book or this certain religion tells you, but that's against the law of Thelma. That's against do what thou wilt. They're telling you how to live. And that way, if you live that way, you'll reap what they tell you from it. But it's opposite, because then you might just live in that same cycle over and over again. A lot of people out there, a lot of organizations, a lot of media, a lot of movies, music, all these things brainwash us and teach us to live a certain way, act a certain way, and do things, because truth be told, they don't want the common man to be able to reach what's beyond this frequency. And let me tell you, folks, there's just a plethora of beyond your wildest imaginations lying beyond the door. You just have to get to it. Now, one of the things that I'm saying here, and I'm going to get into, is people say 666. Now, the reason I'm bringing Satanist elements into this is because a lot of this is misunderstood. That God and Satan are the same man. They're the same entity. They're the same God. They're not individual. They are different sides. They are the different complexities of this universe. And they say that 666 is the number of the beast. But take a second to think about this, folks. And this is kind of hard to grasp. And when you do, though, you'll understand what I'm talking about. 666, at the end of the day, is 9. Everything, as I said, is 9. So if you take 6 plus 6, that makes 12. 12 plus 6 makes 18. 1 and 8 makes 9. If you do 6 plus 6 equals 12 plus 6, 6 plus 6 equals 12, the 1 and 2 makes 3. 3 plus the remaining 6 makes 9. I can break this down into a category that literally gives you about 15 different mathematical equations that those numbers equal 9. What is 6 upside down? 9. Well, guess what? If you take 9 plus 9 plus 9 and you make those numbers, it ends up being 9. 9 times 9 times 9, it ends up being 9. Everything comes back to the soul root number of 9, and 9 is symbolic and stands for the abyss. It stands for the higher level of self that you are not aware of. So everything is created off of this. What you see is a matrix of sort. What you see is an illusion. We are all in harmony on a certain vibration, the flesh tone vibration that I call it, that puts us here where we are right now, experiencing the things that we experience. But this is only a step in the journey. And you can choose to play that level over and over again. Hey, maybe it's a great level and you just love playing it. But you know what? If you play it right and you beat it, you go on to the next step in the game. And most will never make it there because they will be stuck in a loop, either by choice to go back and play that level again, or they're forced to until they get it right. Like I said, Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. That's what I think of when I think of that. But what I'm getting at out of all this is, and coming to my point on the karma side, is that you get in or you get out what you put in. So you have to live a certain way. You have to be a certain type of person because that karma will come back to you. And once you learn to move on to the next level, so much more is available to you, so much more that you are filtered from right now. What you think you know, and the smartest person out there that you can name is nowhere near the amount of knowledge that lies just beyond our reach, unless you learn how to access it, which goes into the step of meditation, which we'll get back to in a minute because I want Dan to kind of caveat back from this. But that is the things I wanted to bring to the table, which is a little strange, is go to a man that was misunderstood and hated, that a lot of people called wicked. Whenever you research him, you find out he wasn't wicked at all. He's a genius. And he starts to get into, the way you should live and what you should do to be able to access those powers, to be able to reach inside yourself and open the doorway that defines the spiritual and the physical, the flesh. Because we are not one thing. We are not just body. We are not, when we die, just soul. We are all together the same in one, just like we are everything around us, and everything around us is us. It all is in harmony with one another. And you can move past that stage once you learn to do things a certain way, and that is karma. So, Dan, what are your thoughts on that? I know it's a little bit of a different take than most. And then let me say, folks, the number 9 had nothing to do with Aleister Crowley. So that is a side note that his readings and his teachings and the things I've studied with him over the years have led me into vortexual I can't talk tonight. Geometry, and it's fascinating. If you've never checked out vortexual geometry, do it, because it is like rocket science, but once you start digging into it and you start to pick up on it, your life will literally never be the same again, and it'll help you make the decisions all around you along with everything else, and it'll help you access the higher you, the person that you were meant to be, the person that you can be, if you choose to do that. And then if you are a righteous person and you have good intent, if the karma is there, you will reap what you sow. If it's not, then you'll be stuck over and over again in an endless loop of shit. Take it away, Dan.
There it is, folks. You heard it from Garrett. Listen, no, I agree with you. I resonate with that, and I want to add my own perspective on the concept of karma tonight. Because everything that I do, whether it's with my self-help work or my other podcast or my films, I'm always coming from a place of self-empowerment. That's what I want to do with people. And I think that knowledge can be one of the most powerful tools that we have to our disposal. To our disposal. And I'm gonna promote a new way of looking at this, guys. Let me just get started on this, okay? We want to look at life in a less limited way. We want to find new ways to take our power, reclaim our power, and discover our own sovereignty, okay? So when it comes to karma, which everybody's very familiar with that term, with that phrase, you know, everyone throws it around like, oh, karma's a bitch, you know, karma's going to bite you in the ass, you know, that we've heard those things growing up our whole lives, okay? We know what it means. Here's where I'm going to fucking blow the lid off this. And we're going to start looking at it from a different perspective. And there's some gray areas in here that might make you a little uncomfortable. But learning, reality-shattering concepts can sometimes do that at first.
Well, I think it has to be, though, Dan, too. If you don't feel uncomfortable at points whenever you're truly diving, and most people, let's face it, they don't read, they don't research, they don't give it the time they need. But if you're someone out there that likes to read, you like to research, you like to push yourself to the next level over and over again, if you've never got to somewhere where it makes you feel uncomfortable learning it, but at the same time you have to push on, then you're doing something wrong, because you should certainly push your bounds.
Yes. I mean, growth is sometimes uncomfortable. Not that it has to be, but it often is. So here we go. Here we go. Karma is based on a mechanic, one of the laws of the universe. Now, you may or may not be familiar with the concept of the law of attraction and the law of repulsion. Okay? Those are some of the laws of our universe. Those are physics. Those aren't just metaphysics. Those are things that we scientifically understand, that the term what you put out is what you get back when talking about energy. Okay? So the what you put out is what you get back is the core fundamental value of what makes karma what it is. Now, what I'm going to tell you right now is a little implicating, but here we go. Karma is a tool that's been weaponized against humans. It has been weaponized against us by manipulating the law of attraction and the law of repulsion and the concept of what you put out is what you get back. Okay? Those mechanics of physics have been weaponized into the concept of karma. Now, karma started back way back in linear terms. The Catholic Church created the concept of karma. Okay, because a lot of those organizations, they understand a lot of the laws of the universe, and they use them to their power. They use them at their disposal as tools, but they don't often tell the general public how the tools work so that they can't use them also. Okay, they weaponized karma because people were committing suicide, and they were killing themselves a lot back around the earlier times that religion was forming and the Catholic Church was forming, and they created the concept of karma to discourage people from taking their own lives, and then ultimately getting out of the system or getting out of the matrix or getting out of whatever program and agenda that they had. So they tell you that, okay, if you kill yourself, suicides go to hell. Suicides don't go to heaven. or if you kill yourself, suicides go to purgatory. They don't get to reincarnate, or if they do reincarnate, they have to live the same life over again, or they have to live a life again as another identity, but they have to play out the same themes, and then they have to go through experiences that ultimately subject them to the things that they did in their life. So under that religion, they would teach you that through karma, let's say you lie, cheat, and steal. Well, then their law of their physics is that once you die, you reincarnate, and then you will get lied to, cheated on, and stolen from. That's kind of the way of their methodology for karma itself. But it really, you simplify it, it's what you put out is what you get back. Now, this is where it's going to get a little weird if it isn't weird already. When I say karma has been weaponized, what I mean is that there are laws of physics that what you put out is what you get back, but it's also based and governed on your beliefs and what you believe will happen, okay? Because part of another thing that I think is important to mention here is that in some way, shape, or form, we do create our own reality, okay? And that gets deep into metaphysics and quantum physics, but we are creating our own subjective version of reality. So our own belief structures and the things that we subscribe to be true for us, whether that's something you learned when you were a kid, whether that's something a parent taught you or you learned at school or through religion, what we subscribe to as our truth comes with its own set of belief structures. And those belief structures are self-affirming, and they sort of line up what we experience in our day-to-day life, in our interactions with people or the circumstances that we go through, because we are creating our own reality. You see, it's self-fulfilling. So let's say a church or an organization or a group will teach you about the concept of karma. And if you kill yourself, here's what happens. If you lie, cheat, and steal, here's what happens. And then if you're young, when you learn these concepts, you subscribe to them, you assume them as your own beliefs, and then you walk that path. You live in fear of doing certain things because you are afraid that karma will come to bite you, or they do discourage from committing, demoralizing acts, which is great. I get that. That's good. But they're also karma has also been weaponized to not only discourage people from committing acts of crime and violence, but also giving a lot of their power over in other areas of their life that might even seem hidden to you. You might not even know that you're doing it. Okay. But it gets down to your belief systems. Okay. So when I told Garrett a while back, I think I mentioned at some point that this episode to talk about karma and the way that it's been weaponized as a tool of mass limitation, I have to talk a little bit about reincarnation as well, which we have touched on in a previous episode. But the concept of reincarnation is that you die, you go through the white light tunnel, you are greeted by your spirit guides and your dead relatives and the family dog, and everything is great. And then you go through what's called the life review, okay? And then the life review, you sit down with your spirit guides and your spirit council, and what they do is they review everything that you did wrong in your life. Okay, you stole this pack of gum when you were a kid. You lied to your girlfriend and broke her heart, and you cheated on your wife. Okay, you hit and killed this person in a car accident. Here are all the things that you did wrong. You did some things right in your life, but you did these things wrong. And if you reincarnate again one more time, you can balance out that karma, okay? You'll experience the things that you did to those people to balance out that energy, that karma. And then when you die and then go to the afterlife again, you're dissolved of all of your karmic debt, which is a lie. And then you get to move on to the next thing that you experience wherever you go into the cosmos, into the universe. Here's the flaw in that system. When you incarnate as a human being on Earth, you get an amnesia. Okay, it's one of the symptoms, it's one of the side effects of downloading into a physical vessel, into a physical avatar. You forget all of the agreements and the contracts that you made to experience in this life. So then you're fresh, you're Garrett, you're Daniel, you go through your life and you start, fucking up again. You make mistakes, you do the wrong thing, you go left instead of you going right. Things happen. And because you have this amnesia, you forget the reason that you were born and what your mission was and what to do right and what to do wrong. You just end up being a human in the third, fourth dimension again, and suffering and going through all these challenges and then making quote unquote karmic mistakes that don't actually balance out your karmic debt. And then you die again. You go through the white light. They tell you, well, you did great, Daniel, here. You did this, that, and the third right. But see right over there, you should have did this instead of that. And then you didn't do that to that person. And then you did this to that person. So you're just going to have to go back one more time and balance it out again. Okay? And that system just repeats and repeats and recycles and recycles and recycles forever. Okay? But that's just one way that your reality is manipulated against you. Okay? That whole reincarnational loop, that cycle, it's a farce. It's a lie. It's a trap. Okay, is what it's called. It's called the false light. And so when I say karma has been used against you, that's just a belief that you're taught as a child growing up that karma will bite you in the ass and karma is a bitch and karma will catch up with you. Well, that's not empirically how it works. It's just a universal law that what you put out is what you get back. And that gets back to basic law of attraction. They've just repurposed that mechanic to serve as a limiting tool to keep you in this fear-based box to the point that you're so scared to leave your house and to interact with somebody that you're going to fuck up and then create this negative karma that you're someday going to have to pay back and balance out, that we end up just making more mistakes and living under more stress and more pressure, and you can never catch up. I'm telling you right now, if you're listening, you cannot balance out your karma. You cannot pay your karmic debt because it doesn't exist.
I like
you
that.
Want to get rid of karma? It's the truth. And now what I am not saying is go out and lie, cheat, and steal. I am not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to commit acts of violence or harm. But what I am telling you is that there is no law against you from a universal perspective that judges you. There is no overseeing judgment that will say, karmically, I think that what you did is wrong and you are going to have to be subject to that now, or you are going to have to live that, or you're going to have to pay for that in some way. That's not what the law of attraction is. That's not that what you put out is what you get back. Because if you understand the way your belief structures create your own reality and affirm your own reality for you, once again, as a disclaimer, I am not telling you to do anything harmful to anybody. But what I am telling you is that the power of your belief supersedes all of whatever you understand the law of karma is. And you can balance and neutralize your karma right now by simply choosing to. And the reason why I know that to be a truth, my truth, is because karma isn't real. It's just a paradigm. It's a program that you were subject to when you were young, growing up, and you were taught right from wrong. Okay, but right from wrong is subjective from the perspective of your multidimensional self. There is no greater judgment upon you and the decisions you make after your death. No, not even right now. There's only the law of attraction and the law of repulsion, and what you put out is what you get back. That's why, sometimes when, a friend asks you for help and you don't think twice about it, you just casually loan them the $100, or you go pick them up when they're broken down and you just do that without thinking twice about it. You're just performing an act of love and help. Then a week from then, something similar may happen to you and someone will help you in the same way. That's just a universal law of attraction. But that's not karma. And the reason why there's a difference is because when the church tells you that if you kill yourself, you go to hell, or you have to die a bazillion times, or whatever they tell you, that's just a belief that you can agree to, commit to, and then maybe when you die, maybe you create the experience for yourself of going to a quote-unquote hell, or reliving your life again until you get it right. You can create that experience for yourself, but that is not the way that the total system works for every single person after the point of their death. It's just an opinion.
Well, I believe that it's a binding belief, and what we were saying with that is kind of getting back to my point earlier. And I apologize, folks, I didn't completely finish the thought, but They are binding beliefs, and they make you live a certain way, as I said. So they tell you have to do this and follow this path, not that path. That path's no good. If you do that, you're going to go to hell or you're going to go to heaven. None of that matters, because if anything, you're going to come back here again and redo it again. And when you do die, there is no heaven or hell. There is another place. Yes, I firmly believe that there is the abyss, but it's a very powerful place, that there is both heaven, hell, and everything in between there. You can journey freely as you go, but yes, you might come back here again. But one of the things that I was going to mention with the whole 666 thing, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, the devil. No, what I'm getting at is all the numbers, and like I said, I could send you a chart that I've personally created, that 50 different ways, every which way you add those numbers times those numbers, it comes out to the root of 9. 9 and 0 stand for the abyss. And what I'm saying with that is they tell you that Lucifer, they tell you that 666 is an evil thing, steer clear of it, it's the number of the beast. They even say it is a human number. It's number 666, the mark, the coming of the beast. No. The 666 that they're telling you is evil is the abyss. It's coming to your higher level of self. The churches have used that against people for years to tell you these are the things to fear and stay clear of, because if you fear them, you won't learn from them. You won't study them. You won't find your higher self. You won't become enlightened. You won't ascend. They don't want people to ascend, because if they did, everyone no longer needs religion. You no longer need their governing ways and laws and writings. You can think solely for yourself. The knowledge that you seek is at your fingertips. The power that you crave or seek is there. And if they can scare you away from it by making Halloween stories of that's the number of the beast, he's evil. Lucifer's name stands for the morning star, the light bearer. He shines light into your life. They've, over the years, made it a horrible thing, because what did Lucifer stand for? Free will. He stood for not being told, I can't eat that apple. If you want to eat that apple, do what thou wilt. So that's where a lot of people started symbolizing, Aleister Crowley is a Satanist, or he's an evil man. No, he's seen past the rhetoric of what everybody else is preaching and saying, you can't do this, you can do that. This is my life. This isn't yours. Don't tell me how to live it. I will live it. That is the whole of the law. My will is the whole of the law. But with that, second to that should be love. So what that means is be you. Be what you want to be. Do what you want to do, but have good intentions. Because if you put good vibrations out, the frequencies will hit. They will bounce back to you and give you good vibrations back, as Dan said. But to worry that if you do something wrong, you're going to burn in an everlasting hell, no. You will, if anything, ascend on to another place, or you'll come right back here again as another person and you'll get to try it all over again. But don't let them trap you into an endless time loop.
It's a trap.
And it is a trap. That's what they get people in, because the people who think that they are the most devout Christians, the most devout Buddhists, they study Judaism, whatever it might be that you study, you focus on, and you are a part of, that's great. You think, oh, I know my God. No, when you realize that you are your own God, and when you realize that inside of you everything that you've ever been told exists, all religions stem from the truth. All of them are fabricated and written into their own fittings of their culture, of their people, whatever it might be. But they all have semblances of one another that stem from the actual truth that inside of us all, the entire universe lies. And if you learn to access that, anything and everything is possible and there for you. But how do they scare you away from it? They package it with ugly dressings on it, and they make you fear. Fear is the controller, and karma is the word of fear. And if they make you believe that you have to live in fear and always be the best person and turn the other cheek, that's one of the most ridiculous things ever. Someone hurts you, hurts your family, don't smite them, turn the other cheek. Why? Because you're blinded and a fool. You do what you have to do, but it is your will. You do as thou wilt. And that's a big part of karma to me, and a lot of people say, I've never heard that being associated with karma. Well, now you understand why I got on that, why I got on the 666 thing, because it's not evil. It has nothing to do with Satan and worshiping the devil. It has to do with knowing thyself and being thy own God and not following.
Know thyself.
Exactly. Know thyself. Do not follow what rules someone else put in a book that told you that is the word of God. You are your own God. Follow that. Follow your own route. Give love to the universe. And the true definition of karma will come back and bless you with things beyond your wildest dreams if you are worthy of the gift.
All right. And so my main encompassing point with karma is that you want to dissolve karma, balance it out, get rid of it. All you have to do is choose that for yourself. Say it, go into a light meditation, or take a piece of pen and paper, or pull up your computer or your phone, anywhere that you can type anything out, and physically write out, I, Daniel James, release myself from all karmic debt. I release myself from the control and the bindings and the chains of karma. I am no longer subject to the rules of karma, because they are not laws. They are rules. They are rules that you agree to, that you were taught, that you assume as your own. Your own power as a creator being who creates your own reality are the ones that superimpose any punishment you receive from the actions you take through the power of your own belief that has been weaponized against you. I am not telling you to hurt anybody, but I am telling you that if you believe you can do something without having to re-experience it back to yourself, you can do that. And use your power for good. Use it to help somebody. Use it just to take your own power back and to free yourself from the chains and the shackles. Okay? Karma doesn't exist unless you give it power. It's just a tool that's been weaponized against you with your own creator abilities. Okay? So is karma real? That's up to you.
It is, and you know what? I feel that the way that it's been used over the years is very similar to a cancer that lives in most all of us. And if you can go in and you can cut it from the roots and dislodge it from its roots, you can live a different type of life, because you have to kill the beliefs and the meanings that they've given it. Because once you learn something, once they tell you what their version of karma is and what it means to them, and you believe it, you can't ever go back from that, because every time you hear the word karma, you automatically, any word, it automatically dings in your mind. I know what karma is. Oh, I got to do good or I'll get good back. If I do bad, I'll get bad back. You got to go back and dislodge that from your mind. You got to destroy it, because that, only when you destroy that binding belief can you live free. And that's another part of meditation. That's another part of the ascension process and becoming, as powerful as one can be, internally. Right. There's a step, and I've certainly not got to it myself, but someday I will, and I'm working hard towards it. But there is the step of killing thy own ego. Yes. And it's not as simple as just saying, oh, I'm not going to be cocky and I don't got an ego. No, I mean truthfully killing yourself in a spiritual sense, not actually physically harming yourself. So please don't do that, folks. But there is a way through deep meditation, through deep practice and devotion to oneself, that you can actually kill your own ego. And once you do that, all that really means is you're cutting loose the roots of everything that's ever wrapped around you and held you down, stopping you from being thy higher self. And once you kill that ego, you are free to soar as high as you've ever wanted to soar and do anything and everything that you've ever thought possible. And I know a lot of people listening in, or that will listen in, will be on the page with us and say, wow, that's really enlightening. And there's a lot of people say these dudes are insane. But here's the thing. Did you ever notice the people that sound the most insane are the ones that are the most intelligent? In most cases, the people that are just so far past the normal train of thought, their intelligence level, their beliefs, they've studied way beyond the normal veil of what everybody else sees. And to everyone that's normal, they're like, that guy's a kook. He's crazy. No, that guy is just a genius, and he's so far gone that what he says makes you think he's insane. But really, he's the only one seeing the actual light.
Truth.
And I think that goes a lot with what I said earlier. Aleister Crowley has always been given a bad name. Read his book sometimes, folks, if you can transcribe it, because I'll tell you right now, it is like reading the words of a madman, but not in a sense that he's truly crazy. He's just so in tune that his words take multiple reads, and then you start to uncover things in it that you're like, my God, who wrote this? And he himself said he was visited by higher beings and things of different dimensions that were able to enlighten him on the words that he wrote and the things that he's done. So that is certainly my take and Daniel's take on opposite ends, but both very similar to one another, of the construct of karma. So hopefully you guys liked it. If you have thoughts on it, please feel free to leave us a comment, ask us questions, hit us up in either email or hopefully on the instant messenger. And like I said, you can do that through Spreaker.com or through the Spreaker app. Now, real quick, I do want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cryptid TV. You can check them out on Facebook or on YouTube. They are a great community that talks over all things esoteric, supernatural, paranormal, and everything in between, from ghosts and aliens to cryptids to sleep paralysis and shadow people. A lot of the things that we cover on the show, they have a community page on Facebook that you can go join, freely talk about anything you want, network and meet a lot of great people. They're supportive of everyone's beliefs and ideas. They just promote a very nice, safe, fun environment for everyone to network that is into the occult. So make sure you check them out on both Facebook and give them a follow and join their group, and on YouTube and give them a subscription, or subscribe to them. That would be really nice. So thank you for listening to that first portion. And Dan, when you want to kick into what meditation means to you and what you've been able to accomplish through your meditation, and just kind of a synopsis, because I feel that a lot of people have a misinterpretation. Oh yeah, I meditate all the time. I do 15 minutes twice a week. No, you don't meditate. You're breathing in deeply and letting out and calming yourself down. That's cute and that's nice, and it's still good for the mind, body, and soul, but that's not real meditation, folks. There is a level that you can take your mind to that requires dedication, requires knowing thyself, and it requires a lot more than 15 minutes of meditation. Try more, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But once you can learn to tap into certain things, Dan will tell you here in a moment what is possible. Let us know what you think, Dan. You still out there, brother?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I lost you.
Meditation is a very powerful tool. Okay? It's not this airy-fairy, new age, trendy thing to say while you're at brunch with your girlfriends, okay? It is a tool. It's an energy tool. It's something in a toolkit that I want to start talking more about under the concept of spirit technology, if I could even go as far as to call it spirit technology. Your body and your pineal gland, your third eye, if you will, these are conductors. These are like a radio tower that can send and receive data in and out of spirit, in and out of higher dimensions. And meditation is it's the activator in that toolkit to literally turn yourself into a vessel of communication and information. Just like you can open up your phone and Google search something, you can literally use meditation in just one of any number of ways to download information into yourself, okay? So the thing that excites me is when you take the new agey, airy-fairy element out of something like crystals or meditation and you turn it into a science, okay? Because the 3D minds, they tend to only assume something new into their belief structures when you present it in a tangible way that they can understand. Well, what is something tangible that a lot of people understand is science. So I could take meditation and break it down literally into a science for you. When I close my eyes and I develop a rhythmic breathing pattern in through my nose, deeply with my diaphragm, my back straight, into my chest and out through my mouth in certain rhythmic patterns, I enter a meditative state. And there's a lot of different ways that you can get into a meditative state. I actually teach those, and I have tools that I actually teach on how to get into altered states. But what we're talking about with meditation is you are altering your brainwave frequency. Okay, so let's get into that from a little bit more of a scientific perspective for those who are interested in that. You are functioning right now in what's called as the beta state. That's the beta brainwave frequency that you're operating in your waking life. If you was to just close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths, okay, and tune into the sights or to the sounds around you, you would be shifting yourself into the alpha state, which is almost more like a little bit of a daydream, or if you're playing the guitar or painting a picture or writing a poem, those are actually meditative states as well. People think that you have to be listening to a babbling brook with, aromatherapy in order to be in a meditative state, but you can actually be doing something artistic and creative is also a form of meditation because you're altering your brainwave frequency to focus on that specific thing. Then you have getting into your theta states, which is a little bit more of a deeper inward sort of sighted focus. and then you're getting into your delta and your gamma states. Okay, so anybody can open up a book or go on Google and look up brainwave frequencies. And those are the principal frequencies that we operate within in any given moment throughout your day or even in the sleep state. Okay, so that's breaking meditation down into a science. You can alter your brainwave frequency at will using certain focusing techniques, doing something that you're passionate about, such as an art form, or just closing your eyes and using breathing techniques. These all get you into an altered state of being, an altered state of focus, or even a trance. Over the years in meditating, I actually never really found a lot of use or value in just closing my eyes and breathing. You know, so if you're familiar with transcendental meditation, you'll hear like a lot of celebrities and public figures talk about, oh, I do transcendental meditation for 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, and it's changed my life. Well, there is a lot to be said about just clearing your mind and going to like a neutral state where you don't have any thoughts coming in, you don't have any thoughts going out. That can be a very powerful tool in its own to sort of reset your consciousness, reset your emotions, and reset what you're focused on by just clearing your mind. And using transcendental techniques, those are very powerful tools. But when I was studying those from a more entry-level perspective, I wasn't personally able to find a lot of use in them until I learned more about brainwave frequencies and what brainwave frequency is used for what purpose, when you're slipping in and out of these frequencies and you don't even notice, and then when you can shift yourself into these brainwave frequencies deliberately for specific reasons like manifesting or remote viewing or talking to your dead relatives or channeling an alien from another planet. Okay, this shit gets weird, but these are the things that you can do when you go into altered states of being through meditation.
100% agree. And the thing with that is folks, I don't mean, Dan, I'm hearing an echo from your end for some reason.
Oh.
I think there it went. There we go.
Good.
I think so. It might be slightly still in the background, but not like it was. So sorry, folks. But one of the things I wanted to recap on right there was that by no means do I mean if you were spending 15 to 20 minutes a day that's something to be ashamed of. First and foremost, that is great because most of the population doesn't take time for themselves to clear their mind and thoughts. So please don't think that I'm dissing you if you spend a little bit of time. I encourage it. Not everybody can do that. It takes a lot of dedication. Me and Dan have both been kind of doing this for a while, and from example myself, I get up at 5 a.m. every single day of the week, including weekends, and I meditate anywhere from an hour to 2 hours straight. Very, very deep meditation. Now that's my style of meditation, and that's what will allow you to reach some of the levels that Dan just mentioned with anything from recognitive past life regression to lucid dreaming to astral projection and everything in between, talking to spirits and becoming more in tune, because it's something else we talked about. Metaphysics plays a lot into it, and when you can learn to use your mind as, we'll use the example as a satellite dish, and you send out certain frequencies, you can pick up certain frequencies. Now, most people's minds, let's step aside from the satellite dish for a moment. Let's call it a door. Let's call it a metal door. Your third eye, your pineal gland, is a metal door in a rainstorm. It's been getting rained on for quite a while if you don't meditate. And what happens to a metal door if it gets wet over and over and over again? It rusts shut and it's hard to open. Most people will never open that door, and they'll never understand what lies beyond the veil because they won't take the work to clear that door off and open it. Your 15 to 20 minutes a day might knock a few pieces of rust off, but really all that's doing is just centering yourself and calming you down, which is good for your daily activity. And a lot of people, that's all they want out of meditation. There are people like Daniel and myself who are reaching for the ascension and reaching for the higher elements and things beyond this realm. And that's what that allows you to do. The deeper states of meditation isn't just let's, calm ourselves down. It's learning to take a wire brush and scrub all that rust off, take a crowbar and pry, not only just partially open, but rip that fucking door off its hinges and open the entire astral plane to ourselves. And the things that are possible are crazy. I often get asked, how do you connect so well with spirits? How do you get so much answers on ghost boxes and EVPs on audio recordings and have them move things and turn lights on? The thing with that is meditation. It's finding their frequency. It's finding my frequency and bringing them in harmony with one another. And once you get in tune, the things that you can do are phenomenal. And that is, like I said, with any of those steps, whether it be, mediumship, whether it be channeling, whether it be astral projection, that is all possible. It sounds crazy to the person out there who doesn't study this, has never tried. Oh, this is a bunch of hubbub that these guys are talking about. It only sounds that way to you because you don't have the dedication and will and the strength in yourself to reach that level. And what do people do? They fear, they hate, and they try to bring down the things that they don't understand because it scares them. And that's where we are. I'm hearing that echo again for some reason. But that's what meditation is if you can learn to open your pineal gland, if you can learn to open that door, it is incredible. And it takes a lot of dedication. I've meditated for a couple years now, and only in the last 6 months have I been having experiences that are just beyond anything I could have ever fathomed. And then especially recently, a lot of really, really wild stuff's been happening that I can't even go into right now. But meditation is the step for that. It is the step for taking you back to the 9 or back to the 0, back to the abyss, journeying into the void and opening that up. And, a saying that I love that I've seen in the occult world, I follow a lot of occult pages and things like that. And there was a guy by the name of Theodore Rothke, and he said the saying, "In a dark time, the eye begins to see." Not the eyes, but the eye. And he's talking about the pineal gland, because in the darkness, in oneself, in your meditative state, through much darkness, your third eye will open, and that's when you truly see. Folks out there think that they're seeing right now with your 2 eyes. They think that I live my life however the hell I want to, which is fine. It kind of goes with what we said earlier. But I don't worry about the afterlife. I don't know if I believe in it. If there is, whatever. I'll worry about that later. Well, that's true life right there. And I'm not saying to go and rush into being into the next world. But once you free yourself of this flesh bondage that you are in as a person, there's something way, way, way greater out there if you can learn to tune yourself into. And that's where I was going with earlier also with karma, that if you don't learn to sharpen your tools, they'll never be any of use to you, and you will stay in that trap, and you'll live it over and over and over again, never breaking free into the other world. While some of us are over there, you'll just stay in that endless loop. So through meditation, through putting yourself in tune, opening that third eye and breaching the doorway, wandering into the darkness until you see the light, that'll allow you to ascend into that next world. And it is certainly there, folks. It sounds crazy, but like I said, I've wandered through the dark for hundreds of hours. And if you wander far enough, you actually visualize and see lands that are not in your imagination. By no means are you sitting there thinking, I'm going to imagine a castle right now and this and that. It'll pop up in front of you out of nowhere. Boom, it's there. And you can touch it, you can feel it, and you can see it. But the question is, are you willing to do what it takes to get there? And 99% of the people are not. But if you are of the few, you will reach lands beyond your wildest fantasies.
So, Garrett, one thing that you touched on I want to actually add to, because I love
Please
that,
do.
is the fear of the darkness. That's another tool that I do believe has been weaponized against us. If you think about it, in horror films, in stories, in music, in religion, they teach you to fear the dark. And a lot of times people have an irrational fear of the dark they can't even understand, but it comes from programming. And then what did I say about what happens when you supposedly die and you see the white light? You're always supposed to go into the white light because it's safe and it's inviting and it's welcoming. They want you to stay away from the darkness. Okay? But the fear of the darkness is really just fear of the unknown. It doesn't mean that there's anything negative or malevolent or harmful in the dark. It's only your fear of the unknown that repels you from it and keeps you out of that dark room, keeps you from exploring those esoteric corners of the room that you're afraid of because you don't know what's in there. But that's exactly where your power is. It's in the exploration of the self. Through meditation, you go into that darkness. And like Garrett said, you will find a lot of light there.
You certainly will. Through the journey of darkness, you will find the light, because if you're not willing to step outside the box, all you will ever know is what's inside that box.
Exactly. There's a lot of power there, guys. We're here to give you your sovereignty back. We're here to give you some tools you can use to sort of just drop the guilt and the fear that is imposed on us, at a young age, and just and start looking inward so that you can see more outward.
And that's it. And then the thing is, a lot of people say, what's hard? I tried meditating and all these thoughts come into my head. That's the point. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would ascend. Everyone would get to their higher self. And that's not the point. They've devised things and put things in place to stop you from reaching that level. It is very seldom that happens. So you have to sit down. You have to be stern. You have to close your eyes. You have to really focus. You have to focus until all those sounds, those thoughts, those things that are weighing on you are cut free and dropped off, and then you'll notice, okay, now I'm just journeying into the dark, and you'll be surprised, oh my God, 2 hours just went by. It seemed like it was 5 minutes, and I don't remember thinking of anything else throughout my day. I just remember journeying through dark and dark and dark, but I felt so at peace, and then all of a sudden your whole day goes good. You feel good. Good things start happening to you because you're knocking off the rust. You are tuning your satellite dish back to what it's supposed to do, which is send out frequencies, receive frequencies, rather than just be a rusty piece of shit that's just sitting there and not working. Because you can keep it there and it'll stay there and it'll still help you throughout the day, but it won't function the way it's supposed to. So if you tune it in, it certainly will. But don't be afraid to journey into the darkness, because without the darkness, there is no light. As above, so below, as within, so without. Nothing is everything, everything is nothing. Light is darkness, and darkness is light. You must know these things, because if you are not willing to travel into it, all you'll ever know is what you know now. But if you are willing to journey into the unknown, I promise you there's a lot of fruit there to be bared and to be picked. And that's the thing, is they want you afraid of that, as I said, because people are complacent. I don't want to step outside this box because it's scary. But you know what? How are you ever going to get anywhere? You will stay in that. You'll complain about being in the box, but you'll never step outside of it to see what's out of it because you're scared to do so. So, some food for thought, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed those thoughts. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, Dan. I think that this was, kind of concise and to the point on both topics tonight.
Yeah, man. No, I feel good about this, guys. My only goal, my angle here is to empower you and to get you to start thinking in less limited ways. And if that means saying, hey, karma is a lie, it's a weapon that has been used against you to keep you limited and small, take that for what it is. That's my mission here, is to give you guys your power back. So listen, while I got the air here, the floor, one thing I want to say real quick, I want to give a shout out to my mom. My mom's one of our biggest fans. She listens to all of our shows live and never misses a single one. And right now, she's on a plane right now in the air, and she paid to rent the internet service so she could listen to this episode live while she's flying from the East Coast to the West Coast. So, Mom, shout out, love you. Thanks for listening to the show. And that's all I have to say for tonight, guys.
Much love, Dan's mom. We appreciate you listening to the show all the time and your support. It means a lot to us. To all the fans out there listening, it does mean a lot. As I said, you can always hit us up at any time at celestialoddities@gmail.com. Any questions, things you'd like to see us do, things you'd like to see us not do, topics you want to see on upcoming shows, stories that you've experienced of the paranormal, or one of the other things that we offer, folks, if you're not aware, is spiritual guidance and also just answers. There's a lot of people suffering from demonic cases of hauntings, possessions, parasitic entities that are haunting or troubling their family, questions about alienistic sides and correspondence, visitation, things of that nature that would pertain more to Dan's side than the haunting, and the haunting's more my side. We are here as a duo, as a team, to help you guys with whatever it is that you need. You just have to be willing to reach out your hand, and we will help guide you. By no means do we say we're the most enlightened ones out there, but I can promise you we are much farther than most, and we're still always constantly on our journey. By no means are we close to being done. We have a long way to go, and we're happy to continue to climb. So we want to thank you guys always for supporting us and for, just showing us love, for always giving us the motivation to continue to bring up, great topics and discussions on the show. And as I said, and as Dan said, don't believe the things that are taught to you to constrain and hold you back. Knock that rust off. Think for yourself. Do what thou wilt. Live a good life. And learn to ascend yourself. Learn to focus in that radar, because really things like karma, all they are is a virus. And they will poison your mainframe. But if you learn to tune in that satellite dish, you can kill that virus, and then anything is possible. So hopefully you guys like the show. Let us know what you thought of it. And other than that, Dan, any closing thoughts besides what you already said?
Thank you all very much. And one little note, Garrett and I may or may not be ramping the show up to twice a month starting in March. So if you do want to hear us talk about specific things or hear about what our plans are, you might be able to hear that maybe once every 2 weeks. I know that Garrett and I are talking about producing an official commercial for Celestial Oddities. Garrett and I are going to be visiting the Mothman Festival this year. So there's a lot of stuff coming for Celestial Oddities, guys. Don't sleep on us. Please get involved with our community, and please continue sharing your stories with us because we are keeping track of it.
On two last things real quick, and we will let you go. Keep track of everything that I'm releasing on the Celestial Oddities page, not only from the radio, but also for my paranormal investigations. I'm actually going to be creating a separate page coming up with, it's going to have a lot of occult philosophies and magic practices and ritualistic, information being released on there alongside of that. So it's going to be a side of the occult mixed with my investigations so that they're kind of separate from the radio page, but still interconnected. So make sure you listen to that. I'm always putting up different pictures, different audio evidence, a lot of great, compelling stuff that you guys will love if you're certainly into the paranormal. On the other side of that, I want Dan to say real quick, he just dropped his newest episode of Reality Mechanics today. And I think it's important he tells you about that. I think it's important you go check it out, share it around to your friends. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that episode you released today, and then we'll close this out.
Yeah, listen, man, thank you for that. I am producing a 4-episode series on my YouTube channel called Reality Mechanics. And what I decided to do was set out to teach you tools, like we're talking about on the show, teach you tools that you can use in your day-to-day life, whether it's just a new thought process or a metaphysical tool that you can use to better improve your situation or your reality with. And it's a 4-episode series, which is free to watch. And we just put out the holographic matrix. And what this episode is about is, if you've seen the movies, specifically the first one, it's based on the concept that human beings are living in a hologram or a computer program while their physical vessels, their bodies, are being harvested for energy. So in this episode, what I discuss is in what ways that's true and who it was created by, and what we can do to sort of free ourselves from that matrix of the mind, specifically of the mind itself. And we try to sort of do these episodes in a fun and creative, artistic way so that they're engaging, and it's not just like a talking head lecture, but there's a little bit of a story happening, and it's kind of fun. So that's Reality Mechanics, the Holographic Matrix. It's free on my YouTube, which is Daniel James XIX. Check it out.
Absolutely, guys. Check it out. And as always, we're going to bring you the freshest content we can. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes. And as I said, if you have a topic you want to hear us talk about, please send it over. I've gotten some recently asking about the black-eyed children, which is a topic that certainly fascinates me. So that'll either be the next episode or one of the next couple. Project MK Ultra has been mentioned a lot of times with, obviously the military using soldiers for super soldiers and for using brainwashing techniques and mind-reading techniques. So we'll be talking about that at some point too, but there's so many things to talk about, so stick around. We have a lot more fun planned for you guys. Once again, I want to thank our sponsor, Cryptid TV, for everything that they do for us. And Daniel, as always, great to spend some time with you and shoot the breeze, and I hope you have a wonderful night, sir.
You too, brother.
All right,
Peace.
folks, we will catch you next time here on Celestial Oddities.